Hello class, this is Dr. Brown. I'm sending you a Tegrity video showing you how you can use just a few simple steps to create the activity builder that's required later in this month when we get back from fall break. I have reserved the conference room in Spate, room 239, for our next class meetings. But if there is any problem, like there was for the 3 o'clock class this past week, if there's any problem, want to make sure that you have at least this video to look at. You can practice in any one of several labs, and you can download the trial version of the notebook software to your own personal computer. I think it lasts a couple of months, and it would certainly make it possible for you to work with the software and practice with it over an extended period of time. If you don't want to do that or don't have a laptop that you feel like you can use for that, then the lab in the Joyner Library TRC has it, and Assistive Technology Labs and the Spate Labs have this software. If you do download it to your computer, be sure you do try to do this on campus, either in one of the labs or in the library, because it takes fastest Wi-Fi possible because it's a very large program. Well, you can see we're matching terms, vocabulary words to shapes. And I created this, and you can see square doesn't go there, but circle does. And of course, if I were connected to a whiteboard, I could swipe this with my hand. And triangle, let's see if that's going to work. Nope. But here it does work. And so you can see how this is set up. It kind of snaps to the center, or you can make it spin, however you want to do it. And I'm going to show you again how to do that. In this particular slide, I've also inserted a link. I'm going to click that, and it will launch a website. You have to make sure when you're doing this on a smart board that the website or the browser itself moves around to the front of your smart board, because sometimes if it's behind it, displayed behind it, you might not realize that it's been launched. But here's a nice website that goes along really well with that particular notebook activity on matching shapes to words. And on this one, you could take a pen, and I'm just going to switch down here on my toolbar, and I'm going to select red pen. And of course, if I were at the smart board, I would do all of this with the pen itself on the tray. And but I have selected pen and red color. And now I'm going to go back to that website, and I can see it says trace circles in red. So I'm going to, if it will let me do it, and it is not going to let me do that. But if you were on a smart board, you could take the red pen and trace around those circles on that website, and then color them in, which is what the instructions are. So you can see you've got a double activity here that's just really great that would work with the smart board. Now let's look at how this was done. I'm going to erase my drawing there, and I'm going to go to the Smartboard Activity Builder right here. See, it says Activity Builder. It looks like a toolbox. I click on that, and it's telling me to identify. So if I identify, and look, notice by the way that the eraser is still open, and so I can't do anything with that open there. So I have to switch back to the little, actually this is like a cursor down here, or a mouse cursor, the little arrow, so I have to be sure and select that. Now, if it says identify, I need to identify this web link up here. Whoops, and it launched it instead. But if I identify, and see now it is identified. I'm going to move it down so you can see it. And you see the little black triangle there? If I click on that, it lets me see where I inserted the link. the URL right there. And so this could be a new one, a different one could be added simply by inserting, see, insert link. And you would paste in whatever web address you were going to use. You would need to locate the website that you were going to use for the lesson in advance, of course, and have copied it and have it on the clipboard tool of your computer ready to paste in. Now let's look at the other shapes just to make sure that you understand how this works. Notice whenever I click on one of these, it's going to over here open up these two windows. This window is for accepting objects, and this window here is for rejecting objects. So on the circle, I want it to accept this term circle, and I want it to reject the term square, and I want it to reject triangle. So these games do need to be kept rather simple, because the ones that you create, because make sure this works right, because there are several steps that have to be, yep, there's the circle in the right place. You can self-check by, when you drag into the right box, see the X's show up in the ones to reject, and the check mark in the green shows up in the one to accept. But we have another step we need to do. You go to settings, and if you want it to snap to the center, it can do that. I like for it to spin because you can see it better. And then for the wrong or reject, bounce back is your best option. So I think I've got the circle all ready to go, so I click done. But we are not done. Now we're going to select the red square, and then we go over here. See, I've got my mouse and I'm moving over here, edit. And now, same thing again. You would drag the term square into this window, and you would drag triangle and circle into the reject window. Now it doesn't really drag. It looks like it's going to, but all that you'll see is very small font over here are the terms that will appear in the reject box. What it's doing really is just adding computer code to this particular program that says this term needs to be rejected. This term needs to be rejected. It's not really putting it in the box physically. And so now I've got these here, and I've got my square term in the correct box. But remember, settings. Whenever I choose the right answer, I want it to spin. And whenever I choose the wrong answer, I want it to bounce back. Done. Now I have one more, the triangle. Edit the triangle. Notice how I click on the object, and then that little, see that little drop down menu shows up. Do that again. And right now the only thing you would use this drop down menu for would be to perhaps lock the triangle in place so that students wouldn't be moving the shapes all over the board. See, lock in place. But you would not lock the words in place. See, allow, move, and rotate, because they need to be able to move these. So that's some more programming involved in the movement of the objects and whether to accept or reject the objects. So I believe I'm done. Let me check settings again. Bounce back for reject. Snap to the center. Nope, I don't like that. I want it to spin. Now I'm done. All right, I'm all ready to go for my game. So I'm going up here and I'm going to view the full screen, and I can go ahead and see square. See it spin. Triangle. Nope, that's not the right answer. Spin and spin. Now class, we're going to come up to the board and we're going to use our markers to find the circle shape. Watch this website. So I click on that and the website comes up, and the teacher gives the students instructions to come up one at a time, take the red marker, draw around the circles. 2 or 3 children could come up and take a turn coloring in the circles. So you can see how that works. I hope this was helpful for you. I may show you one more. Let me open up. Let's see. The counting was one that I wanted to show all the classes, because this one's just very simple, but it does the job depending on what you want it to do. Do you remember how I told you that you pick your content first? What is it that you want students to be able to do? Well, I want them to be able to count to 100. You remember that standard in mathematics where they should be able to count to 100? You remember that. And so you could have the students come up one at a time, 2 at a time maybe, and say, now, Susan, you should take 2 children to bus number 1. And then you might say, how many children are at bus 1? 1, 2. Or you might say, David, take 3 children to bus 3. For young children, that's probably going to be more logical and understandable for them. But do you see what a simple game this is? All that was needed was to find the appropriate images. Now, where do you find these images? Well, one thing you can do, if you go down to the toolbar, you could pick the pen icon. Let's see, the line icon. There we go. And we could just use black, and we could draw stick figures. You could do that, but that's a little difficult. It might be better to go to your gallery and find pictures to insert. So the gallery is going to be located on the side over here, sometimes on the bottom. It looks like a little tiny picture with a picture frame. So I can enter keywords. There's a search function, or I can browse all the different categories, like, let's see, people. There's a people folder, and in that folder there are 460 pictures. So you ought to be able to find the person you're looking for, you know, in all of this. But let's just see if we can find. Might be better to just search for the keyword. Well, here's a little boy in a cowboy suit. So we'll just pick him, and you select him with your mouse, and the little triangle opens up, and then you say insert in notebook. And then you got to go back to the cursor, that little arrow, and now you can move him around. And you could have 2 or 3 of these little boys. But he's a little big, so let's drag him in and make him the same size as the others. So that's how you can add the pictures with that. So again, I hope this was helpful for you. You might want to view this a couple of times so that whenever we come together in the labs after fall break, it'll be something you can go right to work on and create your activity.